Good morning. My name's Catherine Rose. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so glad you're here spending time with me. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning where I am at this moment when I'm filming. I live in a country town in Victoria, just outside of Melbourne. And there's the most exquisite moon at the moment. It's a waning moon, and it's been a really powerful one for me. Yesterday I put up a video that mentioned, what did I call it? Body Speaks, and it mentioned kind of my medical history, so type 1 diabetes, an eating disorder related to that, and fibromyalgia. And I never ever spoke about my eating disorder because it was very much an active part of me that I was struggling to deal with and honor, because I was so deeply ashamed of it and disgusted by it. And there have been some big shifts in my healing process, emotional healing, and fibromyalgia was kind of the trigger, I guess, offset for all of that to happen. Because when my fibro started, I was actually, like, my eating disorder had stopped, all of my restricting and like stressing about food, and like I used to binge and purge. It just stopped, and I was like, oh great, I'm done, fine, I'm cool. And my pain was like screaming at me, because I'd essentially destroyed my body for the last 8 years. And it came up again about a year ago. It came up very aggressively about a year ago when I connected with someone, and it just brought up all these really ugly beliefs that I had about myself. And this person was very honest, and they are very honest, and they just really showed me how dishonest I was with myself and what I was telling myself and the lies I was feeding myself. And it made me, I really had to question how I treated people and why, and how I treated myself and why, and where these beliefs and behaviors came from. And all the questions I asked, like, where did this come from? Why is this? Whenever I'd done that previously, it had been really aggressive. Like, why is this happening? Like, what is, like, it was just really like distressed kind of energy. And slowly, it has to be slowly. I've shifted. I kind of see it like a whale. Like, I've shifted my perspective, and you have to go in with like a childlike curiosity. Like, oh, where did this belief come from? Oh, who said something when I was this years old that made me think this way, or how was I directed here? Like, that kind of thing. And as you go into these deep emotions, these really uncomfortable emotions, you have to be incredibly kind and compassionate and understanding and open with yourself, which is not easy because so many of us are taught to be so critical and judging and analytical and harsh and kind of just picking ourselves apart all the time. Me especially, like, I've been there and I've done that, and I still go through that, and I'm like, every day it still happens, but I'm much better at kind of being the observer of it now instead of just believing stuff that's going through my mind. So I'm gonna tell you, or like read a story out that I wrote, and I wrote it for this storytelling night that runs in my town called 10 by 9, and once a month it's run by the most delicious, delightful people, and it's in such a beautiful space. Once a month, 9 people get up and they have up to 10 minutes each to tell a story about a certain theme, and there have been a few different themes, and each one has triggered a lot of, caused a lot of, stirred the pot, I guess, a lot of internal healing work for me. And I've spoken and I've done home, resolutions, and beauty. And last week I got up and the theme was ghosts and skeletons, and I got up in front of a room full of people in such a beautiful space. To be in front of a room full of people who can hold a space like that is so powerful, and it's such a loving feeling. And I spoke openly about my eating disorder for the first time, which I've never done. And I've always thought like, oh yeah, I'm happy to talk about my diabetes, happy to talk about fibromyalgia. But I knew that whenever I spoke about them, I felt dishonest, because I was leaving it's like a big chunk in the middle. So diabetes, eating disorder, fibromyalgia. I wasn't talking about that, and it was part of me. And I didn't want to admit that. I didn't want to own it and take responsibility. I just wanted it to go away. But at the same time, I was clinging to it because I'd spent so long with this thing that it was part of my identity. And I guess it is part of my identity now, but it doesn't dictate who I am, and it doesn't rule my life. I need to put a trigger warning on this because I'm going to talk about heavy stuff, like heavy, lower vibrational kind of emotions. But really, triggers, if something resonates so strongly within you, it means that energy, like that vibration, is there, it's in you. So what I'm speaking about, and it's uncomfortable for you to hear, and you want to stop watching, that's fine. If you need to stop watching, stop watching. Like, you're your own person, do as you will. But as it's resonating so strongly, it's trying to move, and it's stagnant energy, and it's trying to come up. And as I said, if it comes up, be kind to yourself, be compassionate, be patient, be understanding, hold the space, breathe into it, be kind, listen, because your body knows so much if you listen. Is what I've found out. And I've got my contacts listed in my channel, so if you want to chat about anything, please reach out. I've got my email and Facebook and Instagram. Shoot me a message, shoot me an email. I have a lot of knowledge around these, or personal knowledge and experience around these things, and I'm always happy to talk about them. Because if my experience over the last, well, basically since I've been born, I've been in the medical system, and if my experience can help other people and lighten their load, so to speak, and just give you my kind of perspective and love, then I'm of course so happy to reach out. So please get in touch. All right, I'll get into it. There are many moments in my life where I have longed to leave, to float up, 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 and away, back to the stars, back to peace and harmony. It happens every day. I feel my ears prick and my heart flutter against my sternum as I recognize my call home. I can see myself lifting out of my body and joining the world, joining the wind, dancing and flowing with the call of the birds, in the breath of love, as the trees softly applause my leaving. Belonging is a feeling that I have never truly held, because I don't believe that I'm from here. Earth as it is discomfort. Yes, I'm dirt, the flesh of this earth. My blood is drawn by the moon, and like you, I am the embodied momentum of love. But I have known for a long time that my bones are too heavy for my soul, that my heart belongs to the stars, and that I am simply a seed of their stardust, planted here as an answer to a wish from Mother Gaia. The first time I made myself throw up, I was 15 years old. I'd come home from swimming squad and eaten my dinner of cauliflower, just cauliflower. I ate my dinner and felt disgusted, too full, too much, greedy. Why do I need to take so much? Why do I need to have so much? Why can't I just float away? I'd already been eating less and less each day, counting carbohydrates religiously and exercising whenever I had the chance. It started fairly innocently, to tone my body and become just myself, getting rid of excess things. But it warped my view of reality so dramatically that I didn't see it happen until this alien was driving me. I used to think my eating disorder was just about food, an obsession and fascination, and a need to control myself. And to an extent, it is about food. But food is the numbing tool for the yawning emotional hurt that I was stubbornly ignoring. My eating disorder is mostly about love. I don't remember the first time that I didn't feel good enough, but the deep grieving scars are there in my being. Scars that can't be moved without warmth, kindness, generosity, compassion, time, and trust. And eating disorders are not kind. They are cruel and malicious. They devour and feast on joy and hope, sucking the breath from your body and justifying it by telling you that you should hate yourself. The first time I decided not to take my insulin in order to lose weight, I was 17 and it was during a school holiday break. By now I'd had diabetes for almost 12 years of my life, and I resented my body. The people around me were drinking, going out, playing sport, being erratic and reckless like teenagers do so well. I was trying to keep up, but I couldn't do these things without lots of consideration around my body. It felt like my body was a third wheel because I needed snacks, injections, rests, doctor's visits, and constant extra care. And I had lots of questions to answer by my peers. Questions that I wish weren't there because they were harsh and blaming and made me feel ashamed. I had bumps and bruises, marks and tender spots from injections. My fingers were calloused and hard, numb from years of daily finger pricks, and so was my heart. So I ran my blood sugars high and punished my body, despite the crippling fear that was coursing through me, telling me that I would get into big trouble with my doctors. It was daring, kind of invigorating. Diabetes has always been about control, and now I was twisting my control to my favor by starving my cells of glucose and burning fat instead. It feels really awful to have high blood sugar because your body is essentially being poisoned by acidic blood. At the time, I thought I was the one in a million who did this, but sadly this is a very common thing that happens with young people who live with diabetes. I wasn't concerned about harming myself. I was only concerned about the guilt I was feeling because I knew that I would be found out and scolded, disapproved of, and my control to be taken away from me. I first saw an endocrinologist when I was 5 years old. Every year since then, I would have an appointment to see them every 3 months. I would take my little book of blood sugar readings and insulin doses with me to the clinic, where my body would be weighed, my height measured, and my blood taken to get an average of the last 3 months' readings. They would know if I was lying in my little logbook. I would sit there in a little square box stark with fluorescent lights. Across from me, behind their desk of authority, a specialist would sit and look at my paper, look at my results, and then make a judgment of how I was doing. Was I in control? Was my blood sugar management good enough? Was I meeting the standard? How could they fix me? What needed to change about me? 4 times a year, over about 16 years. That's a lot of marker points, and my body can be mapped out like a graph. It makes me sad because there is a lot of life that happened around my diabetes, but she is always there as a reference point. The last 3 years have taught me that I feel things very intensely: light, sound, smell, touch, taste, and emotions. Emotions are very powerful. Energy in motion. Just think of how anger can consume your whole physical being, making you pulsate with venom. Or your hand brushing against someone new, skin soft and electric. Your butterfly heart flutters and flits all the way down into the base of your belly, where it lights that little fire of hope and possibility. Changes in energy affect my physiology and my metabolism very quickly and very intimately. For me, diabetes is a gift and a curse because my body cannot lie about the world around me. It has been a confronting experience and process for me to sit within the pain of my fibromyalgia and to ask my body what I have been holding on to. All the versions of myself are part of this healing. To me, it is sacred to be able to choose this. I sit cross-legged each day and meditate, inviting warmth into this body, mind, and spirit. From an infant to the me just a few moments ago, they all gather around the now me. Me of yesterday holds a baby Catherine to her chest, while 4-year-old me links fingers with the lost teenager to keep her grounded. They all gather around me and around the light that is our heart. Some stand behind, some sit at my feet. The 3-year-old fairy sits softly in my lap, copying my crossed legs, and I picture my energy glowing and growing with these angels. I feel me and myself in my heart space. We be here now. You see, I need all of me, all the parts of myself, even the ones who I wasn't too fond of. I need all of this love to hold me as I melt the ice in my body. As I ask, what's wrong? What hurts? Why are you aching? To warm the cruel beliefs that I've been gripping onto so tightly because I was scared and confused and hurt, so harshly hurt and guarded with broken mirrors, not wanting to be seen but not able to stop the attack of attention. When I first touched the cold, it burnt me so badly. I went in too hot with aggression and pressure, kind of like I've been taught. The ice cracked loudly, sharply, but this showed me movement, and with that movement came a small trickle of relief. And then more relief as I cried and realized that change was possible and my ice could melt. Be here now. That it was possible. There could be comfort. There could be joy if I kept trying. If I kept leaning in, placing my ear against my chest, listening for the echo of my heartbeat. What do I need? It took years of poisonous thoughts to shape my body into this rigid structure, and I knew that I couldn't fix it right now in a short moment. I realized this when I was given high doses of tramadol, antidepressants, stomach acid regulators, and countless specialist referrals. I realized that no one had an answer for me, and no one could tell me why my body had kicked into unbearable pain and distress. That the psychiatrist, the gastroenterologist, the rheumatoid specialists, the registrars in the hospital wards, and the emergency departments, none of them could explain the reason to me, because I was the only one who had the whole picture within me, and I had to be the only one to save my life. My bones ached, my heart ached, my muscles ached. I had phantom stabbing pains, floating shocks drifting through my body like torn power lines after a storm. My skin radiated like it was burnt harshly from the sun. Sleeping hurt, resting hurt, breathing hurt, crying hurt. I couldn't eat anything without intense stomach pains and rather impressive diarrhea, and walking was suddenly 8 times heavier. Mostly I suffered in silence until I was alone, and then I would scream, just scream and scream, because I didn't know where to put these awful feelings that were controlling my body and my life. When I was 12, I got my first guitar as a communion present. Must have got it. Purple with a dolphin on the 12th fret. I named him Paulie, and together we made a lot of noise. A few years later, I wondered why on earth I had chosen purple. It's such a bold, loud colour. And a dolphin? I wanted a soft, small-bodied guitar with nothing obvious about it, not this childish thing. But that was what I had, and I kept playing until I was about 17, and then I stopped because I began to feel uncomfortable making noise and being heard. It makes me smile now that I know purple is the colour of the crown chakra, and that dolphins and whales are known in stories to have floated down to earth from the stars. I picked up my guitar again when I was 22, after my heart and body were broken. I had been existing next to the cheek of darkness. My body had faded to almost nothing, and the sweetness of death was kissing my forehead, promising me rest. If I had let go, I would have floated away. The veil between worlds was no longer scary to me, but someone told me to stay. It was the whisper of a feeling, of a choice that wasn't really mine at all. I choose love. This voice echoed everywhere in my being, and then it was gone, and I was not. When I picked up my guitar again, my body seemed to brighten as I pulled it close to my chest. The strings were old and stale, and there was some unknown sticky substance on the neck and body. Paulie was screaming with neglect, but I felt familiar, cross-legged and draped over this body. He was asking to play. It ached to do so everywhere, but I changed his strings and polished his whole body. And I began to feel cleansed as I remembered all the time we had spent together. The songs that I write now, I really feel are not me. The voice that chose love, it comes back to me occasionally, and it gives me the words I need to hear. The guidance to keep going, to keep gathering myself and holding my own heart through the scary bits, and holding my hand. Life is a sea of sound. Everything that you experience, from the front door of your home to the daydream that drifts behind your mind at midday, it holds a vibration. Thoughts are power-filled. They are energy and vibration. The thoughts that I had been consuming my whole life were being force-fed to me by other people, social media, the newspapers, the television, and most importantly, my medical system. I was being fed fear. Fear of not doing a good job, not answering questions, fear of getting in trouble, fear of failure, fear of upsetting those around me, fear of damaging my body beyond repair, of skin infections, nerve damage, eye disease, kidney failure, heart and liver disease. Fear of not being enough and not being lovable, being unlovable. I believed I was unlovable because that was what I was so worried about and feared the most. And if you think enough of the same thought and direct enough energy into something, that vibration gets stronger and stronger and starts to manifest. My body was preparing for the worst because that's all I could dare to imagine. When I was 18, my diabetes turned 13, and I got a small tattoo on my left shoulder to mark the entry into teenagehood. A blue ring, the international symbol for diabetes. Last year in October, when I was 23, my diabetes turned 18 and I threw it a birthday party. We did not have cake. My body is an instrument, my voice, my strings. I strengthen my bones by choosing what I hold on to and feeling what is true. And as my bones resonate with these loving truths, they generate blood. And my blood is my life force. When I am in the garden raking the leaves, I picture the earth stretching and humming like a happy dog who is getting their back scratched. I sing with the birds and they sing back. I inhale deeply when I am face first in the dirt, because it is me. Because I am dirt, I am the flesh of this earth. I am the seed of stardust. Every thought and feeling of me, I choose to plant with love. And my body tingles with the happiness that I put into this world. Thank you for listening. As I said at the start, please reach out. I'd love to hear your feedback and comments as well. I hope you have a beautiful day.